You're carving the runes. The Rune Carver is you.
Welcome back to D&D Beyond. Today I'm joined by the amazing Dael Kingsmill, who was absolutely my first choice to talk to me about some mythology, some magic, and a cool new way to build characters that's coming in Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants, building a Rune Carver. What?
Very excited, personally.
So why? What's exciting about building someone wielding the power of magic giant runes?
I don't think it's a secret at this point that I'm a huge mythology nerd. There's such clear inspiration in here from, the Futhark alphabets that come from Norse mythology and the attachments of those to sort of spells and the magic inherent in the stories. I'm really excited to get to play with it.
This is also, full confession, one of my favorite elements of the book, because we've had this alphabet for a while, but there are so many new pieces now coming into place around it that we get to play with. So let's actually look at some of those details. This is using one of the newer structures that you're seeing in Dungeons & Dragons books, which is a background that comes with a feat, and sort of gives you a suggested associated path, which you can pair with any of your other player options. So, what is, Dael, a Rune Carver?
Well, Amy, let me tell you. So the beginning of the Rune Carver background says, you've dedicated your life to studying runecraft. Whether you were taught by a master rune carver or learned by poring over ancient engravings, you can tap into the supernatural power held within runes. The art of runecraft was initially created by giants, but over time, the practice has been adapted by many peoples. As such, though giant runes are the most commonly used, many rune carvers incorporate symbols from their own native languages into the craft. Doesn't that sound delectable?
It does. It is just delicious. This is going to come with history and perception proficiencies, and of course some artisan tools are going to come in handy for this because you are actually going to be carving powerful runes.
You're carving the runes. The Rune Carver is you.
How you do that can also have its own flavor. You get a rune style. You have a unique style and preferred medium, so you could roll on this table. Dael, do you have any faves from the rune style table?
Oh, I have faves. I do. My favorites from this table are number 2. You whittle pieces of wood into small figurines you mark with runes. I love the idea that you might be carving little sort of idols of maybe giant gods that we hear a little bit about in this book. I also love number 5, you carve runes onto a set of animal bones you can throw in different formations. I really like that idea, and maybe tying it to like a divination wizard would be really cool. You throw the bone, consult the bones and see what they say.
Of course.
It's not just the ones from the table either. You can take the inspiration and run with it. I would love to see rune carvers who use ink to draw the runes on their own body, or maybe a knight, like a champion fighter who has an ancestral sword that has the runes for king and storm engraved along the blade, and when they crit, they decide that they will cast thunder wave, and it creates this crack of thunder as it strikes their foes.
Let's talk about the feat that is granted with this. So of course the Rune Shaper feat is going to have a prerequisite of the spellcasting feature in general, or the Rune Carver background, which opens this to non-spellcasters. You've studied the magic of giant runes, granting you the following benefits. You get some comprehend languages with this one. And then, of course, you get rune magic. You are able to inscribe runes onto objects and armor and other things around you, which will let you use certain first-level spells, and you're going to be able to wield the power of runes on other objects. What can we do with these rune spells, Dael?
What can't we do? Well, I mean, probably some things, but we can do a lot. It's very, very cool. You can basically learn a first level spell using the runes that you've memorized. And you can cast that spell using any spell level slot, but you can also cast it once per long rest without using a spell level slot, as long as you have the item that you've carved that rune into. And there are so many really cool options for the runes as well, because the runes are sort of pictograms that represent a whole concept in themselves. You end up with runes for, say, dragon, king, mountain, and they all have an associated spell with them. I really like the idea of maybe a halfling who uses the rune that means cloud is attached to the fog cloud spell. But maybe this halfling, maybe they summon a cloud down out of the sky and it hovers around their head. It makes them feel like a giant with the giant's head in the clouds.
Okay, so that's a great example for cloud. What about the stone rune?
Stone lets you cast sanctuary. And I think that's so interesting. I love the idea that giants would associate sanctuary with rock and with stone. I like the idea that maybe when you cast sanctuary on an ally with this rune, maybe it looks like rocks floating up around them to protect them, and their enemies will have to bypass the very stone itself if they want to hurt them.
I love that so much. And of course, at your option, this could also tie into the flavor of the different types of giants. So we've long known from the monster manual and from adventure content that the 6 most common types of giants have, broadly speaking, some fun flavor to them, and stone giants are often artisans or dreamers. And I think that makes it extra cool to imagine your sanctuary. Perhaps it imitates some art that you have seen and been inspired by among stone giants.
I love that so much. And I love that it maybe subverts our expectations in a couple of places. The hill rune that we might associate with hill giants gives you goodberry. You know, it gives you this thing of sustenance and joy and food, which we all love.
Right. The often thought of as sort of coming in to take your food hill giants can also be revealed potentially as nourishers or nurturers. Or that might be the relationship you had with a bunch of hill giants who maybe put on the best feasts anywhere from where you're from. I'm super drawn to some of the options here. Specifically, I think you gotta try the friend rune and speak with animals. Of course, because this isn't a subclass, you can use it with your druid build. You can use it with your ranger build. You can use this one in a variety of ways that just sort of let you have your own. What would you carve the friend rune on for this druid build?
Maybe your druid has a wooden shield or like some holly shoes that they could carve this rune on.
Yes! I love that very much. So let's talk about that champion fighter. The champion fighter armed with the storm rune for Thunderwave. What would you choose to kit out that character?
I would love to see the champion fighter take advantage of those extra crit sort of ranges that they get, maybe throw in a few martial feats that really enhance their combat fighting, and then just use these runes as like a way to really sell their backstory. Maybe they're, a long lost king who's come back to claim their throne, and so they carry with them the power of the storm and the power of kingship that gives them the ability to cast command.
That's fantastic. I am excited or possibly slightly frightened to meet this character. But these are just a few of the things that you can do with the power of wielding Giants rune magic if you roll up a Rune Carver with the options that are out in early access now and coming everywhere soon in Bigby Presents Glory of the Giants. And if you want to find out maybe what Dael might do with some of these, or whether she goes in a completely different direction, you might want to tune in soon to our live game at Gen Con. Dael, will you hint anything for us?
Let's just say I'm a big fan of Norse mythology, and I'm looking forward to taking a lot of inspiration from it.
Make sure you don't miss that. It is with DM Brennan Mulligan and an incredible cast, and that adventure is going to be starting soon, and Dael won't tell me all of the info yet, so we're all going to have to tune in and find out. Thank you so much!
Thank you!